Hello everyone, welcome to our video on management accounting. My name is Najmi Haris Bisri. I am here with my partners. Today we are going to walk you through three different methods to allocate costs between support department, especially when those departments provide service to each other. Next slide.
In this video, we're going to discuss three ways to allocate the costs of multiple support departments when those support departments are providing services to each other. So let's take a company that has two operating divisions. They manufacture roller skates in one division and ice skates in the other. Now, let's say that this company also has two support departments that provide services to the roller skate and ice skate divisions. They've got an HR department that has $30,000 in costs, and they have an administrative staff division that has $40,000 in costs. Now, here's the catch. The HR department and the admin staff departments provide services to each other as well as providing services to these different departments. So the question is, how do we allocate the $30,000 in cost with HR and the $40,000 in costs with the admin staff?
How do we account for the fact that they help each other? There's three different ways that you can do that. And the easiest ways is called the direct method. So with the direct method, what we are basically going to do is we're just not going to allocate any of these inter-support department costs, right? We're just going to completely ignore them and we're not going to allocate them at all. So let's just work through an example. So let's say that the HR department, we took a good hard long look and here are how the breakdown of the hours of how the HR employees spend their time. So 12,000 of their hours are spent on the roller skate division, 4,000 is on the ice skate division, and 4,000 is on the admin division.
So, because the admin is another support department, we are just going to ignore it altogether. We are just going to ignore it. And what we are instead going to focus on is the number of hours for the roller skate night skate division. So we can say, okay, if we add these two together, that's 16 hours, 16,000 hours. And so when we figure out how much of the 30,000 in each hour cost we are going to allocate, we will just take 12 out of 16 and multiply it by 30,000, right? 12 out of 16, 12,000 of the 16,000 hours, and that's how we're going to decide how much of the HR gets allocated to the roller skate division. We are just ignoring the fact, we are completely ignoring the fact that some hours for the HR are actually performed for the admin staff department.
And when we get to the admin staff department to allocate their 14,000 in costs, we see that the HR department constitutes 10,000 out of 40,000 hours, but we are just going to ignore that and do the exact same thing, right? So we are just not going to allocate any of those costs that are going between the support department. And again, that's called the direct method. And a lot of companies like it because it's the easiest way to do it. Now we could say, well, what if we could allocate some of this to the support costs that are going between departments? To allocate some, we can use something called the step down method. This is another popular method with the step down. What we are going to do is sequentially rank the support departments, right?
So, for example, we could say, okay, we're going to rank the human resources. We'll rank that number one, and the admin staff will be ranked number two. Now what we're going to do is we're going to allocate all of these costs. So now before we kind of ignore the administrative staff 4,000 hours, now we're not going to do that this time around. We're going to say, okay, 12. Let's see if we add all this up together, that's 20,000 hours. So now it's going to be 12 out of 20 times 30,000 will be the roller crates and etc. And then we're going to go down and the administrative division is going to get allocated 4/20ths of that 30,000 in HR costs. that's going to get allocated over the admin staff division, and that's actually going to increase.
And they've got 40,000 in cost, but then they are going to get 420s of that 30,000 added to it. But then when we are allocating the cost, so now we start with the HR because it was ranked number 1. Now we go to rank number 2 to allocate the admin staff costs. But when we do that, we don't allocate any of the HR. Any of the costs back to HR, we just strictly look at, okay, roller skate and ice skate. Whatever the 40,000 plus 420s of 30,000, we just split that between roller skates and ice skates. We just ignore human resource because like when you go down a sequence, as you go down further in the sequence, you never allocate back to previous firms that you are, departments that you've already allocated the cost out of, right?
So now what we are basically doing is we're allocating some of the cost to. We are going this way, we're allocating some cost of HR to admin staff, but we are not allocating anything from admin staff back to HR. So we are not doing that. And so because of that, because we are only considering that, admin staff took up 40,000 hours, but we are not considering that. HR took up 10,000 hours of admin staff. We are not allocating out the cost. We are only allocating some. And so that's kind of a drawback to the step-down methods. A little better than direct, but it's still not perfect. But the third way we could do things is we could allocate all of the costs. And so there's a method called the reciprocal method.
And what the reciprocal method is, basically we do this kind of back and forth thing where we say, okay, well, we're going to allocate all these costs here. We're going to allocate. So we start with HR, for example. It doesn't matter which one we start with, but let's say we start with HR. We're going to allocate the roller skates. We're going to allocate the ice skates, and we're going to allocate the administrative cost. And then when we've done that, having done that, now we go to administrative, and now we're going to allocate back to roller skates, ice skates, and then back to HR, different from step down. Now we're going to allocate some back to HR.
But now, because we have allocated back to HR instead of it being 0 after we initially allocate it out, now it's going to be higher than 0 because we just allocate some back and then. So now we do the process again.
And that's wrap up our explanation of the 3 cost allocating method.
To recap, the direct method is the simplest but doesn't account for interdepartment support, while the step-down method allocates some but not all of these costs.
And the reciprocal method is the most comprehensive as it allocates all costs between departments, ensuring nothing is left out. Okay, thanks for watching. We hope this video helps you better understand cost allocation methods in management accounting. Don't forget to like, share, and leave any questions or comments below. Bye.